Hello students, I am Dr. Girish Rasingani, Associate Professor, Department of Botany, SPC Government College, Ajmer. In the last lecture, we had discussed about the late blight of potato, and in part 1 we had discussed about its general occurrence and its symptoms and about the causal organism. In this part, in part 2, we will discuss about its disease cycle and the control measures. Disease cycle. At least 6 theories have been advanced to explain the yearly occurrence of the late blight. The persistence of the mycelium in soil, a perennial mycelium in the affected tubers, the production of oospores or resting spores which overwinter or oversummer in the soil, the presence of a latent mycelium or mycoplasm within the potato tissues, the fruiting of the fungus on the parent tubers left in the soil, and the development of sclerotia-like bodies. However, of the above 6 theories, only 2 stand without criticism and are generally most accepted. That is the survival of the fungus and fruiting stage, or as dormant mycelium in the tubers left in the field from the preceding crop, constituting the primary inoculum in the soil in areas where temperature and moisture conditions are favorable. And the second one is persisting or perennial mycelium in the affected tubers. From the disease field, which are stored and used as a seed in the next season. In Indian climatic conditions, the possibility of survival of the fungus through soil in any form is remote. The only possibility of its survival in the plants is through infected seed tubers. The extensive use of cold storage for seeds and quick means of transportation of seeds from hills to the plains is the same season help in this mode of survival. The temperature during winter months is also not very favorable for the development of the disease in the plains, and hence although the disease may appear, it may not assume epiphytotic form. The temperate regions of the fungus survives in the soil in the form of sporangia or germ tubes. The mycelium from the infected parent tuber also grows upwards in the stem and sporulates on the small dwarf shoots. Infection of the new foliage starts from the spores produced on these primary lesions. Fields which contain no primary infection from the diseased tubers may become infected by sporangia from neighboring fields. Since these are spread by wind, water, and leaf-eating insects. The infection of sporangia or zoospores may take place through any part of the epidermis of leaves and stems, either through stomata or through unbroken cells. Tuber infection occurs through eyes, lenticels, or wounds. The susceptibility of eyes and resistance of lenticels increase with the storage and maturity of tubers. The general infection of tubers accompanying an attack of late blight is by means of spores which are produced either on the blighted tops during the season or present in the soil from the preceding crop. Now these spores, when come in contact with the healthy tubers or with the diseased leaves at this harvesting time, it is also another source of tuber infection. Now we discuss the control measures. The late blight can be effectively controlled by spraying suitable fungicides, but attention should also be given to certain other measures. It should be kept in mind that no control measure will be economical and permanent. Unless it is followed on cooperative basis by the neighboring cultivars too. Number 1 is the selection of seed. Tubers from infected fields should be discarded for seed purpose or very carefully inspected at planting time, and all suspicious tubers rejected. Seed treatment will not control blight. Blight-free seed is no insurance against the loss, but it usually delays appearance of the disease and makes fungicidal spraying more effective and economical. Second is sanitation. All sanitary precautions must be enforced to keep the crop clean. Weeds should not be allowed to grow in or around the field. At the time of harvest, care should be taken to avoid contact between tubers and the foliage. The rejected crop debris should not be allowed to remain in the field. Harvesting should be delayed. Harvesting of a diseased crop should be delayed until the plants are fully mature. The plants should be allowed to dry completely before harvesting. This will kill the spores present on the foliage and thus avoid infection of harvest tubers. Sorting potatoes from a blighted field. The digging of tubers should be done in good drying weather, and only sound tubers should be collected first. And they should be taken directly to the storage, re-stored carefully before being put in the bins. Tuber treatment before storage. This saves the tubers from infection by secondary rot causing organisms. The tuber should be given a 90-minute dip in 1 by 1000 mercury chloride solution. Such tubers must be washed if used for eating. Then storage. In a cool, dry and well aerated store, there should be a little danger of late blight spreading among the tubers. The danger is greater in moist, poorly ventilated rooms and when there are many wounded tubers. The best storage temperature is 30 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Then the other method is spraying. In areas where the late blight is common, spraying of the crop with suitable fungicides give effective relief. Now we can spray with various fungicides like formulations of copper oxychloride, Blitox, blue copper, dithiocarbamates like Zineb and Maneb, then diethane, then Dutter 1.8 by kg per hectare, Breston. The oil-based copper fungicides, they are also recommended by some workers. Then is the dusting. Dusting is not so effective as spraying. If tried, it should be done when there is dew. Copper lime dust having 12.5 pounds hydrated copper sulfate and 50 pounds hydrated lime may be used as a dust. Higher ridging. A 4 to 6 inch high ridging at the time of earthing helps in reducing the chances of tuber infection. And last one is the resistant varieties. Wherever possible, resistant varieties should be grown in the disease is occurrence. Then the late blight fungus is known to have several physiologic races. In India, only races 1, 0, 1 and 4 are met with, and race 4 is common in northern India and race 1 is in the Nilgiri Hills. So this was all about the late blight of potato. We have discussed about its occurrence, its symptoms, its causal organism, the disease cycle, types of varieties, and about the control measures. And this all the text which we are discussing, it has been taken from the book The Plant Disease by R.S. Singh. In the next lecture, we will take the other disease of the syllabus, MSc Final, paper 16.